Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, I'm Karen. If you're new to my channel, then thank you so much for tuning in and I really hope that you subscribe. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my top tips for getting through childbirth and hopefully having a positive experience. So full disclaimer, I'm not a midwife, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional. But I have had two children. I've been through labour twice. They were both very different experiences to each other. So I'm just sharing with you my tips from my own personal experience. If you want to hear about my experiences with childbirth, then I have made videos on them and I will put the links to them in the description box below. So go and have a look if you haven't already seen them. Tip number 1, accept the fact that your labour is probably going to be horrendous. Now, I know that this doesn't seem particularly good advice for having a positive labour experience. However, you've got to remember that it's called labour for a reason. It is hard work, and unless you are incredibly lucky, it will be painful. It will be incredibly painful, like nothing you have ever felt before, probably. And unless you've been through it, it's very difficult to imagine what that pain's going to be like. However, people go on to have second, third, fourth, fifth babies, so we do get over it. This is what our bodies are designed to do. Once you've accepted the fact that it is going to be horrendous and it is going to be painful, then try and put that to the back of your mind and forget about the pain. Try not to worry about the fact that it's going to be painful. You've already accepted that it is going to be. This is a necessary process for you to deliver your baby. So just then try and focus your energy on managing that pain. Tip number 2, be prepared for all eventualities. So make a birth plan and write down exactly how you'd love your labour to go, exactly, your preferences, blah, blah, blah. But then be prepared to throw that birth plan straight out the window because things happen that are unexpected in labour. No two labours are the same. It is something that you can't control. No matter how detailed your birth plan is, your baby might decide, no, that's not going to happen, and they're going to come out their way and they're going to cause several complications. You might be lucky, it might go according to plan. And I was very lucky with my second labour. It went exactly how I wanted it to. My first labour, polar opposite. So make sure that you're aware of what may happen in labour. Read up on it as much as you can so that if things do happen that are unexpected in labour, you are prepared for it. So it's not brand new information to you. It's the first you're hearing about whatever's going to happen. So like forceps and epidurals and things like that. Make sure you're aware that these things might happen. But once you've swatted up and you know about all eventualities, try and put them to the back of your mind. This feeds into tip number 1. Just forget about it. Be prepared for it, but then forget about it because you cannot control your labour. There are certain things you can control, so you can decide who's going to cut the baby's cord, if you're going to deliver your placenta naturally, or whether you're going to give your baby the vitamin K injection. All those kind of things are under your control, but the actual labour itself, it is out of your hands, unfortunately, and we just have to accept that. So what I'm really trying to say for tip number 2 is just go with it. Go with your labour. You have a birth plan, but things change. If you've said, no, I don't want any pain relief, I only want gas and air maybe, but things happen and you start to think, well, actually, I actually think I really would like an epidural, then don't beat yourself up about it. Just do it. Just go with it. Go with your labour and deal with things as they arise. Tip number 3, relax. Now, this is one of those really stupid pieces of advice that are much easier said than done, but trust me, it really does help. So clearly you're not just going to kick back on the sofa and forget that labour's even happening. You can't get away from the fact that you're contracting. However, just try to relax as much as possible. Don't fight the contractions, because if you fight them, they will hurt more. Just go with it. Just try and relax and just think, no, this is good. This is what my body needs to be doing to deliver my baby. In the early stages of your labour, try and rest as much as you can. So when the contractions are still relatively far apart, you can maybe get a little bit of sleep in between contractions, or certainly just be, still and relaxing, which is my tip. Yeah, and try not to panic. Try not to panic. That's quite a natural thing, is when the pain builds up, you're thinking, oh no, another one's coming, and it is quite frightening. But try not to panic. Your body's doing exactly what it needs to do, and this is a good thing. Tip number 4, try and stay at home as long as possible. All the midwives tell you this. This is a piece of advice that you'll hear over and over again: stay at home, because the midwives will tell you that your labour will probably progress more and progress better at home. And I think they're right. Hospitals are not very relaxing environments. It can be a little bit stressful. And if you happen to be having a long labour, they're really boring. So try and stay at home, maybe stick a film on. You probably won't be able to concentrate on it if your contractions are really bad. But at least you're in your own environment. And then when you feel like you are ready to go to hospital, you can get going. Tip number 5, try and move around as much as possible. Moving around or bouncing on your ball or rocking on all fours, they are much better positions for you to be in order to get your baby in the right place to be delivered. If you're laying on your back, firstly, in my experience, it's a lot more painful laying on your back. But secondly, that's not letting gravity help you. So try and keep upright, like I said, move around, go for a walk, and that is going to help baby come a little bit quicker, hopefully. Tip number 6, don't be afraid to make your feelings known and heard. So I'm specifically thinking about people that want to be involved in the labour. So you might have a mother or mother-in-law or sister that are absolutely determined that they want to be in that hospital room with you, watching that baby being delivered. If you don't want them there, just tell them and make sure they understand that, because this is your baby and this is your body and this is your labour. So you can have whoever you want in there. What I would also say is that if you plan on keeping people in the loop about the fact that you're in labour or how it's progressing, then perhaps just nominate one person that you're going to feed the information to, and then let them filter it out to whoever else that you might want to know. From my own personal experience, in my first labour, we told quite a few people that we'd gone into labour, and then my phone was constantly going off, and hearing that damn phone beep was so stressful. People constantly asking how things are going, what's happening, any news on the baby yet. I was just, for Christ's sake, just leave me alone. So in the end, we said to my sister, look, these are the numbers you need. Please, can you tell everybody that they will know when baby arrives and that I'm fine. And I felt a bit sorry for her having to do that, really, because she had to let a couple of people down about the fact that we didn't want them in hospital. But she was really great in handling that for us. Second labour, we actually didn't really tell anybody that I was in labour. My mother-in-law knew and my sister-in-law knew, because they were our childcare for Libby, our first child. And actually things happened quite quickly in the end, so we didn't have a lot of time to tell people, but I'm really glad that we weren't firing off texts and phone calls all the time, and people only knew about the fact I was in labour once I'd had the baby, and it was a much more relaxing and stress-free experience. On a little side note to that, if you're overdue, you might find that you are getting text after text, phone call after phone call. Any baby yet? Any signs of labour? And you just think, yeah, clearly I've not had the baby, because you would have known. And I found that so stressful at the end. I was 9 days overdue with my second baby. With my first baby, I was 9 days early. So by the time I got to my due date with April, I already felt 9 days overdue. So going 9 days over again was horrendous. It was torture. And my phone was just constantly going off, people asking if anything was happening. And in the end, I just stopped replying. And that's all I could do, because it was really doing my head in, basically. So if you're feeling the same, don't worry about not replying to people. Maybe even just turn your phone off. I have a friend who literally turned her phone off. She didn't go on any social media, nothing, because she went 14 or 15 days overdue in the end. Possibly 16. Can't remember now. Yeah, people will get over it. They might be annoyed in the you know, in that immediate moment, but they will get over it. We've got to understand an overdue pregnant lady is incredibly hormonal and wondering herself when baby's going to come. They don't need constantly reminding that they're late. Tip number 7, try not to be self-conscious. Now, specifically, I'm talking about poogate. Every woman worries about whether they might poo in labour, or worries about the midwives or their birthing partner seeing their undercarriages and all the things that come along with labour, because it's not glamorous. I promise. You know, everybody knows that it's not glamorous. There's a lot of bodily fluids, there's a lot of blood. It's not fun. Don't worry about what people may or may not see, because I promise you, when you are in the midst of labour, you will not care. You will not care what people see. All you will worry about is getting that baby out. And my final tip, tip number 8, this isn't directly related to labour, but it's in the immediate aftermath, and that relates to after pains. If you are having your first baby, then this probably won't be too much of a problem, but certainly if it's your second, third, fourth, etc. baby, you will get after pains, and they are a shocker. I was not expecting them to be that bad. It actually feels like you're still having contractions, especially every time, if you're breastfeeding, every time you feed, it's your uterus contracting, which is a good thing because it's going back to its normal size, but they are really painful. So if your midwife offers you a painkiller that they need to administer up your bum, don't worry about the fact that it's got to go up your bum. Just accept it. Say yes, and I promise you, you will thank me for it. So there we go. That's my personal top tips for getting through childbirth, and hopefully you will have a positive experience. Everybody's definition of positive is different. Some people might think just getting through it unscathed is positive. Others are a bit more specific about what they deem to be positive. But anyway, I hope that this does help you. If you have any comments about this, or you have any other tips that you think would be useful for other mums to be, then leave them in the comments section. That'll be really great so everybody else can read them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.